Good morning, Bruna. It's lovely to see you again.
Great to see you, Ben. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, so wonderful. I wanted to ask you here today because your story is so inspiring, and I think a lot of people will really appreciate hearing it. So thank you to you for your generosity in coming here today to
Well,
tell us.
my pleasure. Also, you invited me to talk about one of my favorite topics. So I'm very happy to be here, really.
Oh, wonderful. Bruna, first of all, please could you just tell us, introduce yourself, who you are, what do you do, what's the nature of your business?
Okay, so my name is Bruna De Palo. I'm Italian. I've been living in London for 13 years, and for more than 10, I've been running my business, which is called Think and Act Differently. What I do in this business is I'm basically a neuroscience-based executive and team coach. Now, what that means is that my job is to basically explain how this works. Companies and senior leaders, they hire me to explain them and their teams how the brain works and what that means in practice from a leadership perspective. Now, the reason why this is important is because we have a very complex machine to run. If I understand how it works, and the brain shapes human behavior in so many forms, if I understand how the machine works, I can operate mine better. And the better I operate my machine, the better I can understand what is happening in others. Yes, of course, we're all very different, but there are a few core dynamics that are kind of the same in every, let's say, healthy brain. If I understand those dynamics, everything starts being clearer, especially, but not only, especially in a leadership role. So my point is, instead of studying a lot of techniques, the corporate world has invested millions in soft skills and leadership development programs and training. It's all good. However, what I feel was missing, and the reason why these things didn't stick, and how do I know that they didn't stick? Well, because if they did, we would live in the ideal world. Now, the reason why they didn't stick, in my opinion, is simply because people have been told what to do, but they don't know how it works underneath and why these techniques work. So my point is to explain the dynamics on top of which other things can be built. Again, soft skills, leadership development program trainings. And I've noticed working with clients that when they understand, they're much more in control. So that's my job in a nutshell.
Great, excellent. And I remember you saying to me, well, in fact, I remember approaching you actually with this strange request. We'd met at a conference, hadn't we? And I sent you a message and I said, Bruna, I know you spoke to me a little of this topic and I wanted to read up on it. I thought it would help my coaching. And so I sent you a message and I said, can you recommend some books to read? And you came back to me with loads of great book ideas and you were very generous. And then something sort of gestated. But before we go into that, I'd just love you to tell us, what is the name of your book and when's it coming?
That's my second favorite topic indeed. The title of the book is The Brain Instruction Manuals for Leaders, What Nobody Told You About Working with Humans. And the reason I wrote this book is because, of course, it was a dream of mine. I had a couple of ideas over the years, but it's so busy, it was so complex. But at some point I realized I really must do it because people were asking for it, exactly as you did when we met at the conference. And then I told you what I did and so that's really interesting. Of course, there are a lot of great books about neuroscience and a lot of other great books about leadership. My point is, how do we connect the two? They kind of seem disconnected. Like, I can understand a lot of interesting things about the brain, but the question is, what do I do with them? Leadership, amazing, but as I said, very often what is missing is what's underneath. So what I wanted to do and what I was basically asked to do, both from my audience during my keynotes or by clients who wanted to know more, is how do we combine the two? Where can we find more information aligned with what you're saying instead of having physically to put the two things together? So that's why, the idea of calling it a brain instruction manual is because we haven't been given a manual for the most important and complex machine. We have an instructions manual for everything except really the most important. So I connected all the dots and I said, it's really time to write it. And it's very much about understanding how this machine works and then how to use it in practice. So between the two, we help people make the most of their coaching time, reading effort, trying to practice what they learned. by, really putting together theory, practice, how they work. Otherwise, it's interesting, but it's not useful. Between interesting and useful, I'd love it to be impactful, which makes them both together. So that's the scope of my job. The scope of my book.
Fantastic. And when was it coming out again?
18th of June.
18th of June. Fantastic.
I'm so excited. I can't tell you how excited I am. Yes, I'm counting the days. Yeah, it's happening.
And with John Murray Press, that's the publisher, isn't it?
Yes,
As well?
exactly.
Fantastic. Great. So I'm going to ask you to cast your mind back to, well, perhaps when I messaged you to say, what books do you recommend? Where were you at? Where was your book at that point?
I've started writing 1.5 years, nearly 2 years ago, but it was at a very stuck point when we met. We met, I think it was in February or March. I was a little disheartened. That's why I didn't say, Ben, soon you're going to read my book. I say, oh, this is the list. And on top of that, I'm writing mine. Now, what happened, Ben, is, can I take a little step back and tell you the story? I think a little context will help here. So what happened is I had this idea. I really wanted to write it, and a lot of people were asking for it. I knew there was some kind of market, but I am a coach. I know nothing, absolutely nothing about the publishing industry. The fact that I read a lot, it didn't tell me anything about how it works. So yes, I bought some books on how to write a book, how to self-publish a book. But the last thing I wanted to do was to go self-published. I really, really didn't want to.
What was it about that you didn't?
Maximum respect for other people who do it. But I knew writing this book would have been a massive effort. And because I'm not very active on social media, I'm growing on LinkedIn, but let's be honest, I'm not a social media type. And I haven't wrote anything else before like I did. I knew I wouldn't have a big reach. I am unknown out of my circle of clients. So self-published means people who will read it are still people in my circle. How can I reach people out of there unless you do a huge investment in marketing and social? And I'm not so willing to change my life. I mean, I love my business as it is. I don't want to do something that doesn't come natural to me. So I said, if I do this huge effort, I'll still reach my small world. Plus, let's be honest, Ben, in this industry, as a coach, having a big publisher behind you, it doesn't mean that you're good, but chances are you're probably good if someone else chosen you. Chances are you conquer their attention. It must mean something. It doesn't mean it's going to be a great book, definitely. I'm sure there are a lot of self-published books who are absolutely impactful and amazing, while others, to be honest, even published by big publisher, sometimes I read them and I said, but there's nothing new in that. I don't know the dynamics of the publishing industry. I just knew I don't want to make a huge effort. But to be honest, I didn't see any opportunity. And I was relying a lot on advice of people who knew more than me, either friends who published a book with a publisher or other people who knew the publishing industry. And they all told me something that is true. It is true, to be honest. It's not that it's wrong. But they all told me, Bruna, I'm sorry, you're amazing, but a publisher will never invest in you. It wasn't nice to hear it, to be honest. But I knew it was true. Because let's be honest, Ben, it's a matter of business. It's a matter of numbers. They're only going to bet on potential authors who will bring them back the money, at least the investment. If not making money, at least the investment. There's a huge investment from a publisher perspective. So why they should invest in you if you are unknown, you're not active on social media, you don't have many followers. And yes, followers can look like a vanity metric, as people say. But from a numbers perspective, if you have 30,000 followers, chances are as a percentage of these 30,000 will buy your book. If you only have 5,000, and that's what I had at that time.
Yeah.
No, so for this reason, I didn't even try to look for a publisher. So what I've been told basically is you didn't write anything before. So they wouldn't invest on someone that they don't know how you write. Secondly, you are unknown to the big public because you've never been on TV, on other things. You don't have enough followers. So there's no way. Because I've also been told, and it's true again, that creating a book proposal takes a lot of time and energy. To be honest, It's a wonderful exercise. I hope we can talk about this later because it's
Yes, we will.
important to share. It's a wonderful exercise, but if you don't need to do it, don't do it. It takes a lot of time. So I didn't do it. And I didn't even try because I didn't want to waste time. So I said, okay, the only option is to do it self-published. Let's do it with this enthusiasm, not that much. So to come back to your question, where was I when we met? I've been writing, changing my ideas plenty of times, but I didn't have a deadline. I didn't have a structure. I didn't have anyone following me at that time. So it was going very slowly. So I wasn't even promoting it. That's why I suggested other books. That's where I was at that time.
Thank you. So what I hear there, Bruna, as well, is you had well-meaning friends or people who had some kind of touch point with publishing, giving you they want to be helpful. Maybe they're trying to help you not get your hopes up, and they're saying, oh, well, Bruna, you haven't quite got enough to offer the publisher, and maybe you thought that's where you were, and I'm hearing you're a bit disheartened with that feeling, and it was stalling the book a bit, Yeah. And I remember you saying some other things too. I think you told me other things you'd heard from friends and contacts were not just around whether you were of interest to the publisher, but there were other things maybe that caused you worry. I think you said about control, timeliness, and IP and things like that. Other reasons why you shouldn't do it. Do you remember much about your thought
Yeah, I
process?
remember that. There was something that really scared me when someone told me, and by all means, yes, all my friends and people advising me, they were absolutely genuine. And to a certain extent, Ben, they were right. They were right. If you are unknown, you have very, very little chances. But the thing is, what scared me the most was the fact that they said you give them a manuscript, they give you the book after one year and a half. That was one of the biggest disappointment for me because I knew this was good. I mean, to write that book, I should have shut down the business for a while and be totally focused on that. There's no way that I'm going to make such a big, even financial effort to then maybe one day see the result after 1 year and a half. No way. No way. I need to play on my momentum. So that was another very disappointing thing. On top of that, Ben, even if I wanted to try, I wouldn't even know how to do it. Of course, I read a lot of blog posts, some books about that, and I live in London, so in theory, you can find contacts. But every time I tried to look at how to do it, it looked like a huge mountain. Like I don't have time to climb that mountain, which is only, at the end of the day, the tip of the iceberg. So it was all disheartening. It looked like a huge task to even try. It doesn't help the fact that I've read a lot of books saying that people like J.K. Rowling, even there's another super famous, I think it was Jack London, or I can't remember. And they had to try with hundreds of publishers and go through all these refusals to finally find someone who believed in them. Like, for as much as I wanted to write that book, I wouldn't have that energy nor patience. So no way. And I said, you know what? I'd rather do it with, a bit disheartened, but self-published, but having it soon rather than go through all this pain and never see the light.
This is about your business, I'm hearing as well. So I feel like there's the idea of making a great big investment of time and energy on your part, and then to have that big delay before anything happens. That was
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it would have been a huge bet to the unknown. I don't know. Like I had to really say to all my clients, sorry, guys, I know you want to give me your money. Not now, please, but for months. So it's not something that you do with a light heart. And on the other side, I didn't have a clear structured path. Like, okay, Bruna, you do A, B, C, D. Okay, it's going to be tough, but then you will get it. You do A, C, Z, F, because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't have any help. And then you don't even know if you're going to get something out of it. I can't, to be honest, my clients come first. So that was the big struggle on top of, not having many chances.
So out of the assumptions and the received wisdom from your friends and network, both about your position and about these issues like timeliness and the delay, which of those turned out to be overstated or wrong?
To be honest, none of them. still believe, and of course, I can't wait to say to your audience the rest of the journey, but clearly there's a gap between where I was and where I am now. And I really want to talk about that. But the truth is, I don't think they were wrong. None of that was wrong. I'm just trying to remember when they said that the industry is slow and it will take 1 year and a half is generally true. Generally, because in my case wasn't. There's a reason why it wasn't.
Yeah. Go on. What was that?
It's called Ben. To be honest, if it wasn't for you and you as an intermediary between me and them, at some point, they had so much trust in them. It could only come from the fact that you were in between and somehow paved the path for me because I was really unknown to them. So for them, trusting myself so much that they would speed up the process, it's big. No way this would have happened if you didn't take me by hand to their office and say, this is Bruna. But go back to the question. I think it was all true that the industry is incredibly slow. It's slow. It's very relative. Ben, I come from tech, finance, banking. That's my job with my clients. It's all very fast. So when I say slow, it's all very relative. But from these industries, the publishing industries looks a little slow. It is true that if you don't have many followers and if you are unknown, they're not going to pay attention to you unless there is a strong intermediary who said, you know what? Yeah, she might not have many followers, but that's because she's not interested in social media. She gets her business from word of mouth. Talk to her, see what she's capable of, see her ideas, and then you will see. But if I didn't have anyone introducing me, no way this would have happened. They don't have time to talk with the millions of coaches who are knocking at their door. What else I've been told? I think everything they said was actually true. It changed because I had a golden card called Ben. But without that golden card, I can say everything I was told is true if you are unknown. So, yeah.
And like you say, I mean, your social media presence, it's not, it strikes me as it's quality rather than quantity, and that wasn't necessarily a problem, in fact, it wasn't a problem.
Well, I think the publisher knew now when we talked and signed the contract, I had 7,000. He probably knows that my followers are loyal followers, like people really interested in the topic, rather than, because I don't do actions that try to grab numbers. I'm not interested in the numbers. So people who follow me, they kind of know what they get from me. I think what he valued is not what I have now, but the potential of what I can bring. So I started a few months ago a newsletter. It's going really well. People love it. I receive a lot of compliments. I think they were willing to invest in the potential. I'm a speaker. I do a lot of conferences every year, a lot of masterclasses online. So I don't have big numbers on social media, but I do a lot of activities with a huge reach. But I insist, Ben, on the fact that yes, I have all these amazing characteristics. There's no way I could have communicated them on a CV or on a book proposal, sent it to them. Because you need to grab their attention before they look your proposal. So if I send them an email like Bruna De Palo, I am a coach, I have a wonderful idea in mind. I mean, I'm pretty sure they receive hundreds of emails like that. So that's why I didn't try. It's not that I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe in my numbers. And in any case, my name didn't mean anything to them at that point. So I am 1000% sure that everything that happened to me, it's because there was you between me and them, walking me, guiding me, but also somehow, you are very well trusted in the industry. If you say something, they listen to you. If I said something, I'm not sure they would have listened to me. That's a fact.
I think they are now, but that's good. And if we could go back for a moment for the proposal, and you mentioned earlier that it takes time, but the value to you in going through that proposal process. You say a bit more about that. Where did you see the value in that process?
It was you, Ben. I wish someone told me, do a book proposal anyway. Even if you go self-published, do a book proposal because it will give you ABC. No one told me. So that's why I was also disheartened. So what happened is, after you introduce me to them and they say, oh, the idea sounds really good. So ask her to write a book proposal. At that point, I didn't even know what it was. So of course I went online, I bought books, I asked you advice. I tried to do it in the best possible way because it was the way I saw it, it was a once in a lifetime shot. Maybe it wasn't, but for me, it was that important. What I learned by doing the book proposal is that the best way to write it, I mean, you really want to persuade them. So the best way to do it is to talk about the book as if you have already completed it. So I had to put myself from A to Z, and instead of this is what I'd like to write, is let me go to Z and I've done. Let me tell you what I did. It was a kind of a reverse engineering process, which of course was a huge boost for my confidence. But I would have never approached it this way if I wasn't guided. I mean, it's a document where you have to answer a few questions. By working with you, what happened, Ben, is that I got a straight insight into the publishing industry. I could see what's really important to them. So on the book proposal, I pushed on something that I knew was really important to them, but there's no way I could have known that if you didn't tell me. So I would have wrote the book proposal like probably any other author, talking about my book, my idea, and the brain, and this and that, which I did, to be honest. Tried to keep it short. I did it. But most of my time, and I worked on that book proposal day and night, because I had a short deadline, and I needed to do my absolute best. But if I have to tell you, where did I put my attention the most is on proving not how great is the idea, but how much I can sell. No way, Ben, no way I would have thought in this way, because I'm not a salesperson. I'm a coach after all. But you told me something that really captured my attention. And you said, well, what's interesting for them, it's sales. They are investing in you. What they want is that you bring back that money and more. So talking too much about the idea wasn't helpful. I think at that point, they already bought the idea with a brain instruction manual. They needed something else. So a lot of my focus was on who do I work for? What companies? Who might be able to buy the book for their leaders? How much public speaking I have scheduled? So I put what I did in 2025 and what I'm going to do in 2026. It was already a big schedule. And I tried to think about all the membership and all the people I know. I put my LinkedIn, huge network. I tried to think about every possible opportunity in my life and business that I could leverage to sell more books. Now, as an author, I think you're not naturally interested in sales. You're interested in doing, a great job in writing. So I wasn't thinking about sales, to be honest. I even thought that the publisher will do it. Yeah, but you need to prove that you will help them. I didn't know that. That's the big value in working with you. Like, you opened my eyes on crucial things I would have never known otherwise. No book told me when you write a book proposal, push a lot on the marketing and sales side. Prove them that you're not known now, but you will, because you will do A, B, C, D. So that was the real value of your advice. No way I could have done it on my own.
Thank you. And you've reminded me, because where you came, where your view was that it wasn't about royalties, for you. It was about the book doing other things. And therefore you kind of think, well, it's not about sales because it's not about royalties.
Exactly.
But actually for the publisher, it is about sales. And that was it. And that lens. And of course, you're someone who's really great about lenses. I've attended your masterclass and you help us understand different lenses. So this was the kind of that sort of moment, wasn't it? It's like, what's the lens they're bringing? Yeah.
That was one of the many lenses that you gave me as an insider. It's been in that industry for many, many years. No way could have had it. And not even when I spoke to my other friends who published the book with publishers, they gave me that, because they think their job was writing the book. So yes, it was huge. So the book proposal done together, I think, is the reason why in the end I got it. But there's no way I could have done such a great, I think you called it top class proposal in the end.
It was.
Yep. I was really proud of that, because I worked really hard on that. I knew where to push, and I think I did it well, but no one told me except you. So I think an insider with a great view of how things work, it's crucial. In my case, I think I did a sort of a miracle, because at the end of the day, I'm going to have a book published by a big, big publisher, very well known and very much estimated, by still being unknown. It's kind of a miracle if you think about that. It doesn't happen to many people. But the reason it happened is because I did all the right actions at the right time. No way I could have done it on my own or rely on luck. I don't think luck has any place here. You can only do what I did if you have the right insights. Otherwise, you just don't know what to do. And you might just let the opportunity slip away, because the most important thing is not to write an excellent book, which is crucial, but it's not the most important. The most important is that the publisher sees that you can sell it. Okay, how do I demonstrate that I can sell it? No way I could have done it on my own. That's where I want to stretch how helpful you've been with your insight. It's just those little things. And sometimes, Ben, you were saying things, I don't think you realize how precious that insight was, because this is your job. You know so many things. And you were talking, and I was taking notes on my phone or on paper while we were talking, because you were giving me some very, very valuable advice. Or you're just simply talking. That's the value of doing this journey to you. Like, I got a lot to learn. I didn't even know. And I learned it so easily just by talking to you. So that was really, really precious.
Oh, thank you. And, yeah, just to give a moment on what the other conversation, I guess, that was happening, which was me talking to the publisher about you, because I guess I chat to publishers about what they want to do next. They're looking for great ideas. They're looking for great authors. And the editors are charged with finding some great ideas every year, a certain number of great ideas, great authors. And that was it. And I suppose I've recognized from being in the room where the editors try and pitch the author and the idea, I'd probably be one of the annoying people who would shoot down lots of them because I didn't think we could sell them sometimes. So I guess it's not as simple as people think it is. There's definitely truth in what's the size of the platform and all those things. But you had a lot of things that I think you had a lot more value than you realized and had a lot to excite them. Very interesting topic. Great at communicating. It's not just like some miracle has happened to someone who hasn't earned it. You very much earned it with everything that you do.
Ben, you just touched on something really important. If you don't mind, I'd like to point out something. You said, during these pitches, you decided yes, no on the moment. What happens there is, I'm sure there have been excellent ideas that could have been even written in an excellent way, but the coach or the person or the author not being able to communicate them properly. Now, I think that's also a huge value where you need help. I'm talking to your audience now. You want to have someone that knows how to speak to a publisher, because again, it's different perspective. We tend to be very excited about our idea. Yes, there's a moment for the idea, and then there's a moment for communicating that idea in a way that makes them think, yes, this is going to sell. You just said it. You said, I crushed them because I thought this is not going to sell. Well, if it sell or not, it depends how it is communicated. Now, without someone guiding you in understanding what to say and how to present it, chances that your brilliant idea end up in Waterstone are not that high, in my opinion. So that's really important too. Sometimes people think that just having a wonderful idea. No, it's how you communicate it to a publisher. That's really crucial.
And now let's take a step forward. So I remember I'd sent your proposal to the publisher, and we had a meeting a day to go in. I think it was September the 4th. Tell me about that day. What was that like for you?
Just know that was one of my happiest days ever. I think I will always remember with a big smile. I was so much on fire. Do you know what happened? Really weird. The publisher is a very big one. They have this wonderful office in Temple. I was super excited, but strangely calm. Like, I felt, might be a little arrogant for me to say, but it's the truth. I kind of felt at home. Like, that was probably my biggest opportunity in business. And it was just a pleasure as a big reader. Of course, just being there would have made me happy anyway. There, as a potential author, wow. So there was a little bit of anxiety, but mostly excitement. But part of me felt calm, like I belong to this place, which is, quite presumptuous if you think that they are the publisher who published Charles Darwin or Jane Austen or Lord Byron. How can you feel at home in that place? I have no idea. But I felt confident because you were with me. I wasn't just there like, oh, I don't know where I am, what to say, what not to say. Yeah, I didn't know what to say, what not to say, but you were there with me. So walking this path together made me feel so much more confident. I felt at home. So we went there. It was wonderful. I mean, Ian, our publisher, the person that you introduced me to, is such a lovely person. He put me at ease so immediately and so quickly. It was really beautiful. We went to this bar upstairs, beautiful view. And he just asked me, tell me about you. And then I said, well, how much time do we have? I think he thought I was joking. I wasn't. I was really serious. Like, you invited me to talk about me, my ideas, and my book. I could take hours. It was fun. It was a very relaxed atmosphere, which is not what I envisaged, when I was thinking about the book. The day you meet a publisher, it was very friendly. But again, there was you preparing the ground for me. That made a huge difference. So because I wasn't so anxious in the end, I think I've been really myself. I felt in that moment I was really being authentic, and there was such a beautiful flow, and it ended up very, very beautifully. In fact, he said some beautiful things that made me think like, it's done. It's in the bag. So it was a very happy moment. We took pictures together. I knew this was very, very important for me to remember. So it was a wonderful moment. And the journey with them started really from that moment. It was beautiful. One of the happiest moments.
I remember that day, you seemed to me very much in flow. And I think you did something really powerful in that moment too, because in talking about your story, which is what I remember you doing to Ian, as well as the book idea, there was a great rapport and it was very relaxed, but at the same time, you discovered this whole wave of confidence, and it's as if you got rid of any kind of notion that, I mean, I think imposter syndrome's too strong, maybe, but a notion that maybe okay, as you said, I should be here.
I don't know what gave me that. Maybe it was your presence, the way you prepared me for that. But I felt like I belong to this place. As I said, it's a big thing to say when you talk about such a big publisher. I felt like I belong to this. I don't know how I could feel that way, where it came from, but I felt like I belong to this place. It's done, and I'm going to deliver. It's not like, I'm going to sign this contract. How am I going to do that? That confidence, I brought it into the writing. And again, I'm a speaker. I'm not a writer. So that was a new experience. Yes, I write my newsletter. I write something on LinkedIn. But come on. So the confidence of like, I belong to this place. This is the right thing. I'm supposed to be here, and I'm supposed to do it in the best possible way. It didn't feel like, oh, now I have such a big target. How am I going to do that? Like, I will. That sense of belonging, I'm in the right place with the right people at the right time. I earned it. It naturally meant I know how to do it, even though I've never done anything similar. It's a huge experience writing, especially that type of book, that confidence and flow straight into the writing. So it's a journey where everything is connected. It's not different phases, like the book proposal, then the meeting, signing the contract, then the book. It all went, in a very connected way.
Yeah, it felt like a waterfall almost. It was kind of it
Beautiful.
got easy. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Do you remember you sent me a message shortly after that meeting, I think, about how you felt like you were living a dream from your childhood or an ambition? Remember that message?
Exactly. It was a dream, to be honest, Ben. I didn't even dare to dream as an adult because at some point, as I said, I trusted the good advice I received. I didn't even try to contact a publisher. So that means I wasn't dreaming. I settled for less, and I'm not that kind of person. So that's why I was disheartened. There's nothing bad in self-publishing a book. But the thing is, my standard for what I know I'm capable of are really high. Knowing that I'm stopping here because I don't want to invest time, I don't have any chance. Yeah, but there's still a big gap between where I know I can be and where I decided, okay, I'm going to stop here because it's more convenient. It didn't feel very exciting, but that's what it was. So in that moment, you kind of reconnected me with my dream. Like, wow. So all this experience is not just about having what I hope will be a successful, impactful book. Overall, I think it's about me being able to go here. I can't be below what I know I'm capable of. And in that situation, I kind of settled for that. So the biggest gift of all this amazing experience is that. Then if the book doesn't sell, we hope it will, but it doesn't matter. Because from my personal perspective, I'm done. I'm okay with myself. It would have been much worse if I self-publish a book which sells amazingly, but then I know I could have been here in terms of, trying, doing it, confidence, and so on. So the point is not having a super successful book. The point is me being happy with what I did and knowing that I pushed as much as I know I can. Then the sale of the book and all the rest, I don't want to say it's a detail because it is crucial, especially from a publisher perspective. I fulfilled my potential. That's the biggest gift. And that's probably what I'm most grateful to you for. You enable me to reach my potential. I know without you would have been much, 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 much harder. Not sure if it's impossible, but much harder. And I wouldn't have had the time, the energy, or the financial resources to keep pushing for years until I find a publisher that is finally ready to listen to me.
Thank you. And so we had this great meeting, with Ian at the publisher, and you felt wonderful about it. I made it too. I was chatting with them. And then maybe there was this little period from the meeting to getting an offer. What was it like? What was it like to get that offer?
I don't know. I was so excited. Like, they are offering me something. Wow. It was like, the first thing I wanted to say is it true? Is it happening for real? And then I realized it was actually real. The reason I struggle to believe it's actually real is because they offered me an advance, some money. I mean, for me, it was already just a miracle that they would say yes, and we give you some money in advance without me asking. And to be honest, the last thing I'm interested in is the money. It's really not my point. My point is to get my ideas out there and see that they're having a wider impact than what I can do with my work. That's all it matters to me. Money? In advance? Yeah, they're always welcome. Totally unexpected for someone who is unknown. I think that tells us two things. One, that they are a very, very serious publisher, very serious. Secondly, that their trust in me was really high. Again, they haven't seen much written from me. So either they fully blindly trust me or they trust Ben so much that if he says yes, then it's a yes. So I think that was important too. So yes, we signed the contract. I was, it was one of the most exciting moment of my life. And that's it. And that's where it became real. When I saw the signature, it was their investment in me, their trust. I said, wow, this is real. So all I've done until up to that moment, it was reshaped because what I wrote until that moment, it was with decent heart and spirit. And I believe, maybe I'm wrong, but I believe this comes through. You can see when someone is fully invested with excitement and passion and fulfillment and is feeling alive while writing compared to the same person writing with, okay, let's do that. I'm sure while I was reading, I could see it. Maybe someone else would, but I could. So in that moment, I took everything I did and I reshaped it. I didn't have time to rewrite it entirely, but I reshaped it with a completely different spirit. Plus, at that moment, I had the book proposal done, which kind of put me at the end of the journey. So I had to write the book knowing already how it would be, how it could be sold after that. So it was a very different spirit compared to the one I had in that moment. So everything was reshaped, and the spirit that comes through the book from my beta reader, they all told me, we can see your personality coming through. I'm sure from the previous version, it was just a task. So that made a huge difference. So many people trusting me knowing that I'm fulfilling my potential, you don't want to do anything less.
Yes, I thank you for that. It reminds me, I felt like I noticed something. Maybe it was from when the contract was signed that there was a kind of release of more ambitious ideas that you had and things that you wanted to do, and the book became a thing of beauty and value to people more and more as you went through that stage.
It's true. I was new spirit.
Yeah.
I mean, being trusted by someone who doesn't know you and who didn't ask for much proof, it's a huge thing. It's a testament of your value, the value that sometimes you don't really fully recognize. You don't want to disappoint that person. But mostly, it's a new spirit that you recognize in yourself. And I say, if they believe so much that I can do it enough to give me more money on top of a contract, then maybe I do have more than what I think and what I see. So there was a different spirit. I remember, Ben, I had a book coach in this journey, Roberta.
Yes.
And she laughed because the first time I spoke to her, she reminded me this recently. She said, "Oh, I still remember when we met the first time. You came to me and you say, 'Well, Roberta, I just want to write this brain instruction manual. It's just a small kind of instruction, really small manual for leaders, and that's it. Just it's something very simple. Just let's get it out there.'" And then I kind of wrote the Bible around that topic. And then she laughs that I still remember. Well, I think the spirit was so high, I kind of enjoyed it a little too much and it became something much bigger. But that's a testament of the different spirit. The before the contract, when I spoke to her and we started working on that. And then after the contract, it gave me so much more confidence. And I'm sure it will shine through the pages. You cannot not see it. I was fully
Absolutely
doing.
there. And just to revisit, the before the journey, I think you said your main concern was around the time, this big delay that you'd heard about and so on. And how was it to discuss that with Ian and people at John Murray?
That's another testament to the full trust in me. So what happened is I just couldn't wait. Also because, Ben, in my industry, when it comes to neuroscience, things change really fast. I mean, every year we have new studies that bring new knowledge that might make what we knew 1 year ago outdated. These things don't go into the streamline easily. But because this is my job and I always try to stay up to date, 1 year is just too much. It is possible that I'm writing something and in 1 year is already outdated. I just can't wait. I felt so confident in what I was doing that I had the courage, I don't know where it came from, but I had the courage to say to the publisher, to ask, and I said, if I give you the manuscript, I don't know, in January, when are you giving me back? And he said, after 1 year, 1 year and a half. And I said, no way. I can't. Firstly, I'm not a patient person, I have to admit, but it's not about my patience. It's just, this is not going to work. What if someone else is going to publish another book with a similar title, maybe a similar topic in between? I can't afford that. So I had the courage to say, no. I said, I can't do that. I mean, I really want to. That was the biggest opportunity of my business. But I said, I can't wait for that much. I said, I'll give you the manuscript in the best possible way ever. So I'm going to shorten your work, but you have to give it back in 6 months. And he said, no way. I said, no way. We can't. We can't because that's how our publishing industry works. And I say, I get it. It's not that I don't get it. I just can't wait. So there was a little moment of, this could have been a deal breaker because I couldn't wait and he couldn't push. Again, I think that's a testament to the full trust in you, me, the idea, because he moved things in a way that in the end, he said yes. He believed in the idea so much that he didn't want to lose it. I believed in the idea so much that I couldn't wait. In the end, he made the miracle, but he actually called it a miracle. It doesn't happen very often. But I can say 1000% sure, no way this would have happened if there wasn't you somehow guaranteeing for my idea. Because he was talking to me, but there was always you being there. And I think that always played a huge role because, come on, how can you trust? Also, he couldn't trust someone he's never worked with before. I mean, this woman, she looks serious. She's telling me she's going to give it to me on the 6th of January. How do I know that she actually will? I can move things around. I can make a little miracle, but how can I trust her that she actually will deliver it? A very good manuscript. So it reduced the amount of work that we have to do on time. For as credible as I can be, I don't think without you that this would have been possible. See, he was trusting your word, probably more than mine. And that's how we made it happen. And that's how I'm going to have a book after 6 months only.
I mean, yeah, hopefully even slightly less. I mean, and I think I'll give the insight of how I did contribute slightly on this. It wasn't just a question of trust. Maybe there's a bit of that. It's about why it is that there is usually such a long delay, and which of those factors were relevant here and which weren't. And part of my role is helping the publisher think it through, because I know what it's like as the editor in the building to go to production and say, can we have this quickly? And they're like, oh, blimey, can't do that. The paper's not arrived from here and I've got to ship it to this country and that country. And so being able to speak to your strategy and the things that your business does, which involves you being a speaker in different locations at different times and your ambitions to expand in Italy and Spain and so forth. And having that whole picture from you made it easier for me to explain to them reasons why it would be beneficial for everybody to go faster in certain ways. You know, when to publish in different locations and that kind of thing. So it's trust, but it's also just understanding their world and what's important to them and what's important to you. So it's that win-win thing we're looking for.
Exactly. No way I could have said or done this because I didn't even know. I mean, I don't know the dynamics of the industry. So if I wanted to persuade him, how would I have known that this could have been a factor? No way. No way.